Giving a powerful, memorable speech is the dream of many, but the reality can often turn into a nightmare. Even the most seasoned public speakers can fall prey to common pitfalls that undermine their message and alienate their audience. But mastering the art of oratory is crucial for success in many fields. A study by Pearson Education found that 95% of business professionals believe presentation skills are essential to career advancement. So how can you ensure your speeches inform, persuade, and inspire? Giving a great speech takes preparation and skill, but even experienced speakers can fall victim to habits that torpedo their talks. While other training channels will charge you to take their expensive courses for this information, we believe in providing this information freely. If you enjoy the video or find it helpful, please like the video and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. We have a bonus for today. We're introducing our free ebook in collaboration with 847 publishing companies. The book is a great guide for becoming a confident public speaker. Check out the description for the link. Here are 5 things you need to stop doing immediately if you want to avoid ruining your next speech. The last one is the worst and will sink your speech, so you will want to watch until the end of the video to learn how to avoid that one. 1. Going on and on and on in our fast-paced digital age, brevity has become more crucial than ever for holding an audience's attention. Microsoft's 2015 study on attention spans revealed a startling fact. The average human attention span has shrunk to a mere 8 seconds, even shorter than that of a goldfish, which clocks in at 9 seconds. But how does this translate to public speaking? According to researcher Paul King's study, audience attention during a presentation begins to wane significantly after just 10 minutes. By the 20-minute mark, most listeners have mentally checked out. To combat this attention drift, King recommends limiting your speech to no more than 20 minutes in total, and punctuating your talk with engaging stories or interactive elements every 10 minutes to reset the attention clock. This principle of concision is beautifully exemplified by Abraham Lincoln's iconic Gettysburg Address. Delivered on November 19, 1863 at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Lincoln's speech lasted a mere 2 minutes. In just 271 carefully chosen words, he encapsulated the gravity of the occasion, the sacrifices of the fallen soldiers, and the enduring ideals of the nation. Despite its brevity, or perhaps because of it, the Gettysburg Address is widely regarded as one of the greatest speeches in American history, etched into the nation's collective memory. Interestingly, Lincoln was not the featured orator that day. That honor went to Edward Everett, a renowned speaker who preceded Lincoln with a 2-hour-long oration. Yet today, it is Lincoln's concise and powerful words that endure. While Everett's lengthy speech has largely faded into obscurity, the lesson for modern speakers is clear. Less is often more. By distilling your message to its essence and delivering it with clarity and conviction, you can make a lasting impact on your audience. As Shakespeare wrote in Hamlet, brevity is the soul of wit and the heart of effective communication. So the next time you're preparing a speech, challenge yourself to trim the fat. Ask yourself, what is the core message I want to convey? What information is truly essential for my audience to understand and remember? By ruthlessly editing your content and focusing on quality over quantity, you can craft a speech that is lean, mean, and memorable. Remember, your audience's time and attention are precious commodities. By respecting their cognitive bandwidth and delivering your message with concision and clarity, you'll be well on your way to becoming a speaker they'll remember long after you've left the stage. 2. Winging it without a clear purpose. The old adage, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, rings especially true in the realm of public speaking. When you step up to the podium without a clear roadmap of what you want to say and why you want to say it, you're setting yourself up for a rambling, directionless speech that will leave your audience confused and disengaged. A 2018 survey by presentation software company Prezi underscores the high stakes of presentation skills in the professional world. Among employed Americans who give presentations, a whopping 70% agreed that the ability to deliver effective presentations is critical to their success at work. Yet despite this recognition, more than a third of presenters admitted to spending less than 1 hour preparing for a presentation. This lack of preparation is a recipe for a meandering, unfocused speech. Without a clear destination in mind, you'll find yourself wandering down tangential paths, grasping for coherence and structure as you go. To avoid this fate and craft a purposeful, hard-hitting presentation, It's essential to begin with a well-defined objective. Ask yourself, what do I want my audience to think, feel, or do differently as a result of my speech? What is the key message I want them to take away? Once you've identified your core purpose, build your presentation around 3 and 5 main points that directly support this central theme. Be ruthless in cutting any information that doesn't directly contribute to your overarching goal, no matter how interesting or clever it may seem. One master of purposeful presenting was the late Apple co-founder and CEO, Steve Jobs. Renowned for his captivating product launches, Jobs was meticulous in his preparation, spending hours carefully crafting every aspect of his presentations. From the precise wording of his scripts to the visuals on his slides, to the staging and lighting of the event, no detail was too small for Jobs' attention. He would rehearse relentlessly, fine-tuning his delivery until it was perfectly polished. The result of all this preparation, presentations that were not only informative but truly inspiring. Jobs' famous iPhone launch in 2007, for example, is still hailed as one of the greatest tech presentations of all time. In just 80 minutes, Jobs masterfully built anticipation, unveiled groundbreaking features, and painted a compelling vision of how the iPhone would revolutionize the mobile industry. His clear, focused narrative and expertly crafted delivery left the audience buzzing with excitement. Of course, not every speech needs to be a grand product reveal on the scale of an Apple keynote, but the principles of purposeful preparation apply regardless of the setting or stakes. Whether you're pitching a project to your team, delivering a conference keynote, or simply updating your department on Q3 goals, taking the time to clarify your message and structure your talking points will pay dividends in the clarity and impact of your speech. So the next time you're tasked with a presentation, resist the temptation to wing it or cobble together some last-minute slides. Instead, channel your inner Steve Jobs and approach your speech with a clear purpose and a commitment to focused, diligent preparation. Your audience and your professional reputation will thank you. We have a great video on how to craft a great speech if you need some assistance on this topic. 3. Boring your audience to tears. There's nothing quite like the sinking feeling of watching your audience's eyes glaze over as you speak. When your delivery is monotonous and lifeless, even the most compelling content can fall flat. Monotony is the kryptonite of audience engagement, and it's a surefire way to sabotage your speech. The science backs this up. A study by the University of California, Los Angeles, found that vocal variety, the modulation of pitch, volume, and pace, is a key factor in maintaining audience attention and retention. Speakers who employed a dynamic vocal range were rated as more engaging and memorable than those who spoke in a flat, unvaried tone. So how can you inject some much-needed variety into your vocal delivery? Start by playing with your pacing. When you want to convey excitement or urgency, try speeding up your speech. When you're sharing a key insight or a poignant moment, slow down to let it sink in. Varying your volume can also add emphasis and emotion to your words. Raise your voice to underscore a crucial point. Lower it to a near whisper to draw your audience in. One of the most powerful and often overlooked tools in a speaker's arsenal is the humble pause. A well-placed moment of silence can be as impactful as the words surrounding it. Pausing before a major revelation or after a thought-provoking question gives your audience a beat to process and reflect. It also serves to punctuate your message, making it more memorable and meaningful. But vocal variety is just one piece of the engagement puzzle. To truly captivate your audience from the outset, consider opening your speech with a bang, in the form of a compelling story or a thought-provoking question. Neuroscientists have discovered that stories are uniquely powerful at activating and engaging multiple areas of the brain. When we hear a story, our brains light up in the same regions that would be activated if we were experiencing the events ourselves. This neural coupling creates a deep sense of connection and empathy between the storyteller and the listener. Stories also trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone associated with trust and bonding. All of this makes storytelling an incredibly effective tool for drawing your audience in and keeping them hooked. One of the undisputed masters of the storytelling opener is Oprah Winfrey. Throughout her career as a talk show host, actress, and philanthropist, Winfrey has captivated audiences with her ability to weave personal narratives into her speeches and interviews. She often begins her talks with an anecdote from her own life that relates to her core message. By sharing her vulnerabilities, triumphs, and lessons learned, she forges an immediate and intimate connection with her listeners. For example, in her 2018 Golden Globe speech, Winfrey opened with a childhood memory of watching Sidney Poitier become the first Black man to win the Best Actor Oscar in 1964. She described the profound impact this moment had on her as a young girl, planting a seed of possibility in her mind. By starting with this deeply personal story, Winfrey not only set the stage for her broader message about the power of representation, but also invited her audience to share in her emotional journey. Of course, not every speech needs to begin with a soul-bearing confessional. The key is to find an opening that is authentic to you and relevant to your message. Whether it's a humorous anecdote, a surprising statistic, or a provocative question, your goal is to pique your audience's curiosity and establish an emotional connection from the get-go. If you need help adding stories to your speech, we have a great video on that topic. There is a link in the video description to that training. 4. Letting your ego take center stage. As a public speaker, it's natural to want to project an air of authority and expertise. After all, if you don't believe in yourself and your message, how can you expect your audience to? But there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and crossing it can spell disaster for your speech. A 2013 study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology underscores the perils of self-focus in public speaking. Researchers found that speakers who focused primarily on themselves rather than their audience were rated as less likable, less competent, and less persuasive than those who kept the spotlight on their listeners. In other words, a little humility goes a long way in winning over a crowd. So how can you strike the right balance between assertiveness and relatability? The key is to make your audience feel like the star of the show. Instead of touting your own accomplishments or credentials, focus on the needs, desires, and experiences of your listeners. Use inclusive language that positions you as a partner and collaborator rather than a preacher or pedant. Phrases like "we" and "us" can go a long way in creating a sense of shared purpose and camaraderie. Another way to keep your ego in check is to highlight the benefits of your message for your audience. Instead of simply showcasing your own expertise, emphasize how your insights and ideas can help your listeners solve problems, achieve goals, or make their lives better in some tangible way. By framing your speech as a gift to your audience, rather than a platform for self-promotion, you'll come across as more authentic and engaging. Of course, this doesn't mean you have to be deadly serious or self-effacing all the time. In fact, a little self-deprecating humor can be a powerful tool for humanizing yourself and endearing you to your audience. By poking fun at your own foibles or failures, you show that you're not above the fray, you're right there in the trenches with your listeners. Just be sure to strike a balance between humility and self-respect. Too much self-deprecation can undermine your credibility and make you seem insecure or unprepared. One speaker who mastered this balance was the legendary Dale Carnegie. Born into poverty in rural Missouri, Carnegie went on to become one of the most influential public speakers and self-help gurus of the 20th century. His secret? A relentless focus on others rather than himself. In his speeches and writings, Carnegie emphasized the importance of showing genuine interest in others, remembering names and details, and making people feel valued and appreciated. He argued that the key to winning friends and influencing people was not to try to impress them with your own greatness, but to make them feel great about themselves. For example, in his famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Carnegie shares a story about a dinner party he attended where he met a botanist. Rather than dominating the conversation with his own accomplishments, Carnegie asked the botanist about his work and listened intently as he spoke about his passion for plants. By the end of the evening, the botanist was singing Carnegie's praises, telling everyone what a great conversationalist he was, even though Carnegie had barely said a word about himself. This anecdote perfectly encapsulates Carnegie's philosophy of putting others first. By shining the spotlight on his audience rather than himself, he was able to build trust, rapport, and loyalty in a way that no amount of self-promotion ever could. If you have not read his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I highly recommend it. There is a link in the description if you are interested. So the next time you're preparing a speech, take a page from Carnegie's playbook, keep your ego in check, focus on your audience's needs and interests, and don't be afraid to show a little vulnerability. 5. Shrinking in fear and self-doubt. Picture this. You're waiting in the wings, palms sweating, heart racing as your moment in the spotlight approaches. Suddenly, all your preparation and expertise seem to evaporate, replaced by an overwhelming sense of dread and self-doubt. If this scenario sounds all too familiar, you're not alone. Even the most seasoned speakers can fall prey to the insidious grip of stage fright. In fact, fear of public speaking is one of the most common phobias in the world. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, a staggering 73% of the population experiences some degree of anxiety or fear related to public speaking. That's nearly 3 out of every 4 people, a sobering statistic that underscores just how pervasive and paralyzing this fear can be. But here's the thing, letting your nerves consume you on stage will not only undermine your credibility as a speaker, but also diminish the impact of your message. When you're visibly anxious or self-conscious, your audience will pick up on those cues and start to doubt your authority and expertise. It's a vicious cycle that can quickly derail even the most well-crafted speech. So how can you break free from the grip of stage fright and project the confidence and competence your audience craves? The key is to reframe your nervous energy as a positive force, rather than a hindering one. A fascinating study by Harvard Business School found that speakers who reappraised their anxiety as excitement, rather than trying to suppress it, were perceived as more persuasive, competent, and confident by their audience. By embracing the adrenaline rush and channeling it into enthusiasm and passion for their topic, these speakers were able to transform their jitters into a dynamic, engaging presence on stage. One speaker who has become a master of this technique is renowned researcher and author Brene Brown. Throughout her career, Brown has spoken candidly about her own struggles with vulnerability, shame, and self-doubt, both on and off the stage. In her book, Daring Greatly, she recounts her early experiences with public speaking, describing the terror and anxiety that often overwhelmed her before big talks. But rather than letting those fears hold her back, Brown made a conscious decision to lean into the discomfort and embrace her authenticity. She realized that the key to connecting with her audience was not to present a flawless, invulnerable facade, but to show up as her true, imperfect self. By sharing her own stories of struggle and resilience, Brown found that she was able to create a profound sense of empathy and trust with her listeners. Over time, Brown developed a powerful strategy for managing her nerves and delivering impactful speeches. Instead of focusing on herself and her own performance, she learned to shift her attention to her audience and the message she wanted to convey. By keeping her ego in check and prioritizing the needs and experiences of her listeners, Brown was able to transcend her own fears and doubts and become one of the most sought-after speakers in the world. Of course, embracing vulnerability and authenticity on stage is easier said than done. It takes courage, practice, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. But as Brown and countless other successful speakers have shown, the payoff is well worth the effort. So the next time you find yourself grappling with stage fright, remember, you are not alone and your nerves do not define you. By reframing your anxiety as excitement, focusing on your audience and message, and daring to show up as your authentic self, you can transform even the most daunting speaking engagement into an opportunity for growth, connection, and impact. As Brown herself puts it, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. If you need other tips to deal with speech anxiety, we have a popular course on our channel that discusses this topic further. Details in the description. In conclusion, by sidestepping these 5 speaking pitfalls, long-windedness, lack of purpose, monotony, ego, and fear, you can ensure your next speech is a resounding success. Remember, it's not about you, it's about serving your audience with a clear, compelling message. With preparation, practice, and a dash of pluck, you can become the confident, captivating speaker you were meant to be. If you enjoyed this content or found it helpful, please like the video and subscribe so we can continue to bring you great training videos. Thanks for watching.